right, welcome. We'll do it again. Episode 8, Legends and Dragons. Chance Burleson.
Jimmy Cloud.
We are recording from the Legends Lair in Hurst, Texas. And today we have a special guest, my teacher, our friend, Grand Master Miguel Valdez. Thank you, Master Valdez, for agreeing to join us today and talk about your life. And there's going to be a question too, like, are you really blind? And I will ask you who that came from, but you probably already know once we get to that question. But anyways, Chance, we also have in our audience today, Mr. Shane Bingham.
Y'all can't see Shane.
You can't see Shane. Shane doesn't want to jump on camera, but he is my trauma bonding buddy that we will talk about here in a little bit. And he is here to provide laughter for my jokes, since last week I had a banger of a joke and we didn't have a live audience to laugh at my joke, and Chance Burleson failed to laugh at it. It was
Listen,
the son.
You get the laughs you deserve.
my laughs are great. All right, so here we go. What superhero? All right, so let's start this off because many people are just now tuning into episode 8. The podcast is called Legends and Dragons. Legends, our friend Chance Burleson here, Legends Martial Arts, and he is a legend in his own rights.
Shush.
And then we have the Blind Dragon from Excel Academy, my teacher, Miguel Valdez, hence Legends and Dragons. And he has also been referred to as Daredevil, and we'll get into some of those things as well. But since you are Daredevil, Chance, what superhero do you think you would most align with?
Definitely Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Why?
He was going to say that.
I do. He was going to hit. Why Wonder Woman?
Just because that's the funniest thing I could think of.
No, Aquaman? Like, he doesn't fly. He's just,
No,
like,
he
you have to
doesn't
be,
fly. He
like,
doesn't
here
fly.
in Texas, you couldn't be Aquaman.
No, well, you
Well, you
could
could be on the
like in
coast, but here-
Galveston,
Yeah,
or
but
like
here-
a lake Aquaman.
Man,
I could be like a pond Aquaman.
What a weak superhero that would be to
Right.
be like Aquaman of a lake.
Right,
Like
Be
where else?
horrible.
Where else you gonna go after
right.
that?
And I would be Aquaman of Lake Worth, like the most polluted lake. I would be.
Hanging
I
out with
would,
the alligator guard.
The alligator. You would summon the alligator guard to you.
yeah, Aquaman of Lake Worth versus the Goat Man of Lake Worth. Does every town have a Goat Man?
I don't even know the Goat Man of Lake Worth.
Oh yeah,
What
there's
is-
Goat Man.
there's a Goat Man.
There's Goat Man.
So I was thinking about this after I called and prepped you of this question. So I was thinking, in my brain, I really want to be like Superman or Captain America, right?
Okay.
Because Captain America, he keeps getting up after every hit. You know, I can do this all day. I'm like, I really want to, but I think I'm most aligned with Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Star-Lord?
Star-Lord. Yeah,
The
you know-
redheaded
Yeah,
stepchild.
you know, that's who I
Yeah.
think. Like when I think about it, I'm like, no, I'm probably Star-Lord.
I'd be Ant-Man, at least
You-
just character.
Just
You
the
know?
character.
Come on, man. You know me. I'm Ant-Man. Like I'd be the superhero no one knows.
So, oh my
Right.
goodness.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Master Valdez, we had some feedback from our last interview, which I'm going to ignore. It was to give the guest more time to speak than hear Chance and I. But I want to ask you, because there's many students. We have some students' questions that we will get to earlier. But I would like for you to share your story, how you got into martial arts to now.
Let's see. I was about 8 years old, and I was the littlest kid in my class, and had a few bullies here and there. And my mom decided to put me in karate because she thought it would boost my confidence and help me out. And boy, was she right. And I fell in love with karate at 8 years old, and I've never quit. Maybe only taken a week or two off for illness, but I've never taken any real time off.
So the title Grand Master. So I'm still fairly new. I met you 8-9 years ago in town on the mats, and so actually both of you could answer this. The title Grand Master, is that like at a certain belt rank, or is it like 8th degree up?
I
You're
have
called
no
Grand
idea.
Master?
I have no idea. Some people say you're Grandmaster at 8th. Some people say 9th. I don't know. I don't really care what you call me.
Yeah, Chance. What Grandmaster? What
Generally, what I've seen most systems do is they do it at 8th.
at
Okay.
8th?
Most of the systems that I've seen, it's master at 4th or 5th, and then grandmaster at 8th or 9th.
Okay.
it's just arbitrary. Like, that's the biggest question that I get from people is they want a standard answer.
Right.
Like, what's a goal in soccer? In martial arts, there's not any governing body, nor could there be, because martial arts is like the word dance. There's 1,000 different forms of dance. There's so many different forms of martial arts, and they all have their unique fingerprint and how they do things. And there's nothing's really right or wrong about it.
Right.
But it's unique to each system and sometimes just to each school.
So last week we talked about me creating my own style of martial arts.
The hot sauce packet.
The hot sauce packet where I squeeze hot sauce in someone's eye and I just kick them in the groin.
That'll work.
It would. So after I get accredited for creating this martial arts, I can be a Grand Master. Like I'm just Grand Master of whatever the name.
Jimmy, you'll always be a Grand Master.
Oh, I appreciate that. Master Valdez, some have asked about your blindness. And I will just ask a question here, and then you probably know which student this is. When when will he drop the bomb that he's not really blind and has played the longest running joke in human history? Who do you think that question comes from?
That came from Master Rodriguez.
Yes, it did come from Master Rodriguez.
I met Master Rodriguez when he was 18 years old, and I told him then I was blind. And he, of course, did not believe me and still does not believe me till to this day. Says it's the longest running joke ever.
Where did he send you when you first
met him? I love this story.
Okay, so I first meet Master Rodriguez at a tournament. And then a few months later, I was going down to Austin to do some training for the Texas Department of Blind Services. And I had a one-day pass at a gym. So we meet up at a Gold's Gym, and we fight for probably about an hour and a half or 2 hours, just kicking the snot out of each other. We gather quite a large audience watching us. And when we're all done, I pull up my blind stick and I start tapping through the gym. And everybody's looking at him like he's the biggest jerk in the world. So I said, hey, man, before we leave, I want to go take my cup off. He says, oh, right over there, men's room. He purposely sends me into the women's locker room.
Yeah.
I walk in. Women were very polite. They sent me back out. I walk out shaking my head because I knew exactly what he had done. And ever since that day, Master Rodriguez and I have been best friends.
Yeah, that's so great.
When did you start going blind? Were you blind before you started martial arts?
No, I started martial arts when I was 8, and I had a driver's license at 16. And at 18 years old, I could no longer pass the driver's exam. So at 18 is when they discovered that I had an eye disorder. And then at 19, I lost my license. And at 21 is when I was considered legally blind. But I could still see a whole lot better than I can now.
And you could only see out of your peripheral, right?
Yes, I only have peripheral vision. All I maintain now is just a little bit of peripheral vision, absolutely no central vision at all.
Which is where I like to stay on his center line.
Yes.
So he can't see me, and that is brilliant.
Your central vision is used to see details and for reading and seeing facial features. Your peripheral vision is used to see motion. So when I look at somebody, I can actually see Master Burleson better right now than I could if I actually turned my head towards him. And I'll be able to know if he moves as opposed if I turn my head towards him.
I keep telling people, I keep forgetting how blind you are, because we're either at Excel Academy, or we're at your house, at places where you're obviously very familiar with.
If you take me out to lunch, you'll know I'm blind.
Exactly. That's what I tell people. You forget how blind he is until he goes and tries to sit on someone else's lap.
Yes.
Which has happened
many times.
Or him bumping into tables or some chairs like that. Now, we got the story from Chance, how you guys met, and that was a couple episodes ago. But I would like for you to tell the audience how you met Chance Burleson.
I went to a tournament. I was a young 22, 23-year-old martial artist, and I was promoting a video I had made called Kicks and Tricks. And so I went to this small tournament called the Cowtown Karate Classic, and it was held in a hotel banquet hall. And I met Master Burleson, and I knew of his dad, but I've never met him before. And he just had the biggest personality in the world. He reminded me of a Karate Howie Mandel.
All right, I like that.
Well, Howie Mandel had recently shaved his head and had a goatee.
There we go.
He kind of had the same image going on, and and had a larger than life personality. And that is the day I met Chance Burleson. I don't think that I explained to him that I was starting to lose my vision. And turns out he thought I was just a jerk. He's like, man, this guy won't even look at me. But that's when I befriended Master Burleson.
So when he opened up this dojo here, what happened?
Oh, I'd say it's about a decade later. Now, we had run into each other a few more times.
At tournaments, yeah.
Yeah, a couple other tournaments. And I think maybe you'd even... No, I don't think you'd started coming to my tournaments yet.
Not yet.
But we'd seen each other at a few other tournaments. And then all of a sudden I caught wind that they were starting a school over here in Hearst, 1.4 miles away from me.
Real close to yours.
Real close. And so one day I decided to pop by, and I had Missy Sella drive me over here. She said, well, what are you going to say to him? I said, well, I'm going to walk up and ask him who's got the nerve to actually open a school 1.4 miles away from me. And so I did. I walked in. I said, hey, who are you? And he told me who it was. And I said, well, I got one question for you. Are we going to be friends or are we going to be competitors? He said, we're going to be friends. I said, fair enough. And you need to come to my tournament. And so we've been best friends ever since.
That's right. That's right.
How long ago was that?
Well, since the day you started the school year.
16. Well, it was in 07. So we hadn't actually opened the doors yet. We were still doing construction.
Okay.
So it was the end of 07.
Okay.
Yeah. Long time ago.
I like to think that Master Valdez came here looking for a fight. Like the stories that I hear from the old dojos or the back in the day, like dojo fight. Like he came here.
I definitely wanted to feel like that.
Sure. Sure. And I was so impressed at the way he walked in the door.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, all right, are we gonna be friends? Like,
That's
or what? And I'm like, well, we are now. I want to be friends with anybody with these kind of cojones to come in here and talk to me like that.
Oh,
Man. That was so great. But you and I hadn't fought yet.
No,
not until then. And so, like Rodriguez,
okay,
I was like, he's not really blind, you know. And then we sparred at one of my sparring nights, and he made me see spots with a round kick to my head. I could not believe somebody that couldn't see, because what a blow to my ego, you know, because people with 20/20 vision have a hard time hitting me, you know, and I'm like, do I suck this bad, you know? And then I hit him back in the ribs, and that sealed our friendship, right?
Absolutely.
There, you know.
Oh man,
yeah.
I think you cracked my rib that night.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that story up. Speaking of cracked ribs, so I joined the mats with Master Valdez here after Talon's been on the mats for I don't know, maybe a year or so. This was after my kidney cancer, and then I ate my way through a year, so I gained a lot of weight. I was like, I need to get back active. So I joined the mats. Master Valdez hears that I'm a military vet as well. So when I get my gold belt, that's when you can start sparring over at Excel. And I think it was probably the first time, maybe the second time, that I fight Master Valdez. He hits me with a side kick that, I mean, I think it probably broke my entire side. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I think I was dead for about 15 seconds. And
like Doctor Strange,
like
where
Doctor
she
Strange
knocks her soul out.
Yeah, that was my soul. And I was like, oh, man. And so, of course, like for the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm just having issues with my right hand even. That's why I'm bald, by the way. This is exactly why I shaved my head now, because I couldn't wash my hair because Master Valdez hit me with that sidekick.
Yeah, it's butterfly effect.
It was a butterfly effect. So, man, but that sidekick that he hit me with was so spot on. I didn't think I gave him a lot of room, but so to this day, I have PTSD whenever I hear Master Valdez goes, man, I'm hungry, because he used to say that. He's like, I'm hungry for ribs. And so now every time I hear that he's hungry, it's like, I'm hungry for it. And so I'm like, no, don't do it. But speaking of trauma bonding, Shane, there's a black T-shirt up there if you wouldn't mind handing me. But Shane and I also created these T-shirts, if you can see right here.
Oh, geez.
It is Master Valdez's face.
Oh no.
And it says, you know, you can breathe when you're dead. So that sounds
like something I'd say.
That's exactly what you would say. And then I would like you to tell the audience here, I have this T-shirt that was made for me, that was given to me, by the way, on Mother's Day.
Oh.
on Mother's Day. So this T-shirt, if you all see it right here, it has Excel Academy, and it has #1 Karate Mom on it. That's what it is. Would you like to share with our audience?
Well, Jimmy, when Jimmy joined the karate school, he became very involved, and he started doing a really great job with our social media and our Facebook, which obviously I don't do any of that stuff. You know, I don't deal with the computer. And then he started assisting me on the mats, and I realized that he was the instructor that the school really needed. He was so positive, so motivating, and the kids really loved him. And it was just fantastic to have on the mats. And so one day I'm walking through a karate tournament, and I hear a bunch of the other karate masters all kind of boasting about what a great guy Jimmy is. And so I walk up and I chime into the conversation. I say, yeah, he's probably the best karate mom I've ever had. He's my #1 karate mom. And they just died laughing. And so Mother's Day was coming up a few weeks later, and I said, you know, this is what he needs to have for Mother's Day. So we awarded him his #1 karate mom shirt, which my mom wants to fight him for.
So let's talk about that real quick. So by the way, Mother's Day is May something.
You better know.
And I would have to. I'll figure out. Nikki, when's Mother's Day? All right, never mind. Mother's Day here in a few weeks. Buy your mom something. But anyway, so then I'm wearing the T-shirt. I'm working out in it. Oh, the 12th. Okay, May 12th is Mother's Day. Go buy your mom something because you're the reason why she pees a little bit when she laughs. By the way, you're the reason. So go buy. See, look at it. See, thank you, Shane. But anyway, so I'm wearing the #1 Karate Mom T-shirt. Master Valdez's mom comes into the dojo and she sees it. Then all of a sudden, I have beef with Master Valdez's mom because she says, "No, I'm the #1 Karate Mom." And I'm like, I didn't even make the shirt. You can have the shirt.
Right.
And so there's a picture of her that she has me in a headlock, and she's about to punch me over this T-shirt, by the way.
Really?
And then she finally takes the T-shirt.
That's great.
Yeah, it is great. Master Valdez, I want to sing your praises a little bit because what you do on the mats with the kids is nothing short of extraordinary. And you have just started, I say recently, but it's probably been about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. You started teaching special needs kids.
Well, you've been doing that a long time.
Yeah, we've always had a few special needs kids in the program, but recently we had some kids that had such severe special needs that it wasn't going to be appropriate for them to be into the average classes. So we decided to make a special class for them. But we call it the leadership class. It's more for the other kids to come in and learn how to be leaders and help other kids out.
That's good.
So, yeah, I really like our leadership program.
So I haven't told you guys this. I threw it on social media yesterday, so chance you may have seen it. But because of that, I have really been toying with the idea of creating a nonprofit and basically kind of like the We Defy Foundation, where they help with veterans, combat veterans, and they pay for a year tuition and uniform and stuff. Doing something of that, but with special needs kids.
That's good.
And I don't know. Obviously, a lot of schools are not equipped, if you will, to handle special needs kids. But there has to be some out there that absolutely work with special needs kids. And I think that if open a nonprofit, it will give parents an opportunity. Like they don't have to worry about the costs. Sure. They don't have to worry about the uniforms. All they have to do is just get the kid there, and then
because they're already dealing with so many more costs than an average parent, right?
Absolutely. So, anyways, I'm just to throw that out there, but it was because you, Master Valdez, working with special needs, because I actually got this idea. So, just add something else to my plate. I'll figure it out here pretty soon.
Absolutely.
But here's another question from one of your students here, Master Valdez. What failure or mistakes has Master Valdez made that taught him the most valuable lesson? And I know this is like a really open-ended one.
That's a tough one.
So
we're talking about karate now, right?
Karate.
You can do whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I failed my brown belt test.
Did you really?
Yeah,
No,
I flat out failed my brown belt test.
Who was your here? Were you here?
I was here in Texas under Master Simpson at the Grand Prairie Community Center, and back then we only tested maybe once every 4 months. So if you missed a test, you had to wait, a quarter of a year before you could test again. And my best friend April and I were taking martial arts together, and she was going to be out of town during the test. So they gave her a little private one-on-one test, which I watched, and she passed just fine. So, in my head, I thought, well, they gave it to April. and I wasn't working that hard for it. And so I crammed for it. And about 2 days before the test, I started preparing for it. And I took my red book and I was in my living room working real hard for the last 2 days right before the test. And I was fully not prepared. And I went out there and I was quite obviously watching everybody as I was going through everything. And when the test was over, they awarded everybody their ranks. And finally, they got to me and they said, Miguel, you failed today. And I was torn up. And it was probably the best thing to ever happen for me in my martial arts. Now, it wasn't until almost like 30 years later I found out my mother is the one that told them to fail me on that test.
Really?
Yes.
I love your mom even more now.
My mother went up to them and said, my son did not pass that test. Do not pass him. And they said, yes, ma'am. So obviously they didn't want to fight her either.
Yeah, I see. I don't want to fight her either.
But that was at a rough age. 11 and 12 years old is a really, really, really tough age for kids. And that is a lot of times at the age where we wind up losing children in martial arts. And so, like every kid, I wanted to quit. I did not want to come back. And my mom said, nope, you will be back there on Tuesday. And she forced me to go back immediately. And,
Good for her.
Yeah.
There's something that you say to the parents that I have obviously used is if you're going to discipline or punish your kid or ground your kid, don't take away
martial arts. Absolutely.
And why is that?
Well, if you think that you're learning valuable lessons in martial arts, just like you may be learning valuable lessons at Sunday school, if your kid gets in trouble and they really like going to Sunday school, you don't say, hey, you don't get to go to Sunday school this that doesn't make any sense.
Good point.
So why would you take them away from those valuable lessons? In fact, bring them to their karate program, tell their teacher what's going on, and then an appropriate punishment can maybe even come up in the karate class where they get to miss out on a certain activity. That would be a lot more effective than keeping them at home.
Yeah. So we kind of do corporal punishment. And at Excel.
Oh, absolutely.
What I mean by that is either push-ups or running suicides or just doing something that I use at home, and parents, you can do the same thing probably with your karate instructor, is anytime Journey or Talent, my kids had an issue, I brought it to Master Valdez. And I would invoke the name of Valdez at my home, like, oh, yeah? Okay. You keep playing this game, and I'm going to let Master Valdez know. No. And, they're like, no, please don't tell Master Valdez. And because the pedestal that they have you on as well, from obviously not taking away martial arts, they fear your name like I fear your mom's name. So
one of the things that I've noticed about that is in grown-up life, when you make poor decisions, you get negative consequences.
Right.
Like as an adult, you get negative consequences. And in this age of we want nothing negative to happen to our kids when they make a bad decision, that ill prepares them to be because grown-up life will not give them a pass.
Right.
And, I had to do 1,000 push-ups in front of my school when I was a kid. My dad made me, not all at once. Like I had to do it over a month.
Yeah.
And what that does is that teaches me when I do whatever I feel like doing in the moment, something bad usually happens later. It could be corporal punishment. We do some taking of belts here and making them earn it back. Stuff like that is negative, yes. But when you make a poor decision, there are negative consequences. And the faster they learn that as a child and start beginning to think through their decisions before they make them, before they act, that is really beneficial for them. It's not about being punitive or taking a pound of flesh because they did something wrong. It's about teaching a valuable lesson.
Right. No, I think that, and I think both you guys as instructors and teachers, I think you guys do a wonderful job with the kids and even adults, just pulling them aside and kind of motivating them and encouraging them, whatnot. So, but speaking of corporal punishment, when I was, again, a young belt, Master Valdez, he had me on the balance bubble.
The half bubble.
So for the entire class, he had me on that bubble in a horse stance doing all my all my movements, down block, up block, all the. And so when I tell him this story, Master Valdez is like, "Did I not like you?
Yeah, why would I do these mean things to you?
Like, I don't even know if you like me now." That's the thing. I don't know. All right, another question here from one of the students. At what point in life did you realize martial arts is your calling?
When I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I was 8 years old. I took my first karate class, absolutely fell in love with it. And I said, I can do this. I want to be a teacher someday. And I think it's maybe because I got to watch the other black belts punish everybody else. And I said, I want to be that guy. I want to do that.
You want to punish this guy.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. Now I understand. There are times, Chance, in class where, and Shane can attest to this too, when we're doing something that just creeps into Master Valdez's mind, some exercise, and we're moaning and groaning, and then all of a sudden, drill instructor Master Valdez goes, "I love more. I go to sleep listening to these moans and pains." Oh my god. Anyways, yeah. Let me see. Oh, here's a question here. Someone asked this question, but they also said, "How do you watch movies?" So I will ask you this question, and then you can kind of two-parter. What 5 martial arts films would you recommend martial artists watch? 5.
I don't know if I can come up with 5.
Just a few.
I mean, you have to watch Enter the Dragon.
Yes, exactly.
And especially at the beginning scene. Is that the scene where his instructor is teaching him some stuff?
Yeah, like pointing away to the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite scene. And then when I was a kid, I kind of grew up during the Van Damme era. So I really liked Bloodsport when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But my all-time also with Bloodsport, you have Bolo in there, which was also in Enter the Dragon, right?
Right.
Yes.
So that brought back a character that I really liked. But my favorite when I was a kid was Best of the Best. The karate was mediocre, but
It's just such a good film.
it had a good storyline to it. Unlike other martial arts, it had a storyline that I could relate to, and something that I thought, I wanted to be that guy. I want to compete, for my country or whatever.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Did you start your martial arts career here in Texas?
I did. I started at the Grand Prairie Community Center under Jack Simpson.
And then you also moved up north, right?
I did.
To Wisconsin. Now there's an Excel. Is it Wisconsin that you were living in?
Yeah, I moved up to Wisconsin, but then I got my black belt. We were right on the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. So I got my black belt in South Bowling, Illinois. And then I started the first Excel Academy in Rockford, Illinois, when I turned 18, right after I graduated high school. And then Master Gonzalez, Benny Gonzalez, currently still runs that Excel Academy.
Okay, so you have that. Then you got 18. Is that when you came down here to Texas?
I came back to Texas. Well, I started my first karate school here at the Arlington Meadowbrook Rec Center when I was 16 years old. And then we moved away during my senior year of high school. And then I came back to Texas when I was 21. And I started another karate school at the Charlie Taylor Rec Center over in GP. And then I started this Excel Academy, I don't know, maybe 25 years ago or so.
Yeah.
So 25, but you haven't been at have you been at the same location 25 years?
We were right up the street. We were sublacing from a belly dance school right up the road. Okay. So not too far right up the road.
Okay. Very good. So this right here, this is probably going to be, you can answer this a couple of times, I guess, but it says, what are a few of your proudest moments? I guess in martial arts or in life. I guess they didn't really specify, so.
I don't know. I mean, I have really proud moments when I watch my fighters excel or watch a student win a tournament or whatever, but some of my proudest moments, honestly, are when I watch my special needs student really start to achieve something, or I watch a student who's been struggling with something his entire martial art career really actually get something. Or I watch the kid that you thought would never, ever get it really start to come into his own. I think that's what teaching martial arts is more about nowadays than even training great fighters. So sometimes I take more pride in those moments.
So that was all the questions from that we received from the students, but I have a couple questions.
Well, going back to the movie thing.
Oh yeah.
Yes. How do I watch movies?
Yeah. I'm very curious about this.
I have a giant 85, 86 inch television, and my chair literally touches the TV stand. So I watch it like this, back and forth.
Oh, that's amazing.
And now with descriptive audio is what they have on most movies and most shows nowadays, where it actually describes what's going on. So to say, man walks into the room and picks up a tissue, which is really helpful for me.
Sure.
So that's real helpful. All right, your question was?
Well, I forgot. That was an amazing
Those
question.
are really good.
Because now I'm thinking, I mean, obviously now you have your students start buying white gear.
Yes.
And the reason for that is obviously you can see the white gear when you're sparring.
All I can see now is either movement or contrast. So I can only see this can on this dark table, but there's nothing else on this table that I know of. Maybe the table's empty. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, all I can see is contrast. So if I have white sparring gear on the black uniforms on the black mats, I can see a little bit. But they put on black gear and they're completely invisible to me.
Mm-hmm.
No, Jimmy.
I'm just saying. I do not have black gear, but I have.
Some people do use that to their advantage.
But it's in the mail.
Yes.
Right.
I'm not. Listen, Master Valdez. If he's taught me anything, it's hey, use that advantage.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Use that advantage. So man, it's so funny. So something for you. What was the question I was really thinking about though? How do you get the kids? Because I've seen you and I talked about the magic that you have getting the kids on the mats. So has your philosophy changed over time to get like a kid who is shy, is hiding behind the skirt of his mom or the pant leg of his dad, or just very clingy? What do you do? What magic tricks do you have for any of the teachers, martial artists that are listening to hear they can pick up on some skills that you do?
When I'm working with a kid that is having a difficult time to come on the mat or is just having a hard time, I work with the kid one-on-one. And instead of working with the whole class, I take them off to the side one-on-one. And I just try to relate to the kid. I don't look at any disabilities that they have or whether or not they can speak English. I just try to get the kid's energy back up. So I'll do little tricks like I'll pull out an x-ray target and put a ball on top of it, and I won't talk to the kid at all. I'll just start taking the ball and popping it a little bit. And they'll get to see that little reaction. They'll start looking at it and go, oh, I want to do that. And then I'll kick it with my foot a little bit, and they'll look at me and go, oh, I want to do that. And sooner or later, they start interacting with me. And this gets me to where I can interact with the kid without even speaking to them. And then pretty soon they're wanting to do whatever I'm wanting to do with them. And then I can usually encourage them to come back on the mat and forget whatever they were upset about.
Master Valdez was sick, Chance, like, I don't know, a few years ago, sinus or some, I don't know, cold, flu. And so it was Isela and I teaching the class, and in walks this kid. And he is very, very shy and very doesn't want, I mean, he's hiding behind the bags. He doesn't want to get on the mats. It took me the entire class to just get him on the mats, using every Valdez trick I knew to get on there. After we finally got him, and he's doing great. He's really doing great now on the mats. But I text Master Valdez. I'm like, dude, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because once you get that kid on the mat, he ran back to his mom. And I told Master Valdez, like, man, more power to you for using that skill. What do you do, Chance, to get the kids? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. One thing that actually helps me, I think, work with the kids is the fact that I'm not looking at them. I think this really confuses them.
It's really good.
Yeah, and so they start like trying to figure out, what am I actually looking at? What am I actually focused on? And they think that I'm not focused on them, which causes them to want to do whatever I'm asking them to do. It's really weird, but it's very effective.
That is a happy accident.
Yes.
Because I obviously have I don't have 20/20 vision, because I have to, if I'm going to read anything, I have to put these on. This is relatively recent development over the last 5 to 6 years of my life. But when I'm interacting with somebody, I always make eye contact. And in the instance that he's talking about, that generally sends them back into their shell, because I'm looking right at them and all of that attention. If they're shy, they don't like that.
Right.
So I'm going to steal what he does, and I'll just kind of pretend to ignore them a little bit and see if that doesn't kind of entice them out. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah.
But what I do is, and I joke about it a little bit. I tell the parents, I said, listen, this is totally normal.
Yeah.
And I say, parents, You know how like when you go on vacation to a place you've never been, you fantasize in your head and you imagine what it's going to be like. And even if it's amazing, it's nothing like you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, a child doesn't deal with that discrepancy very well. When they found out they were coming to karate, they pictured something that looks nothing like the school they're in.
Yeah.
And that shock makes them scared. But if you'll keep bringing them, even if they sit on the bench and they start getting comfortable with the people and the familiar faces and the sounds and the sights and all that kind of stuff, once they have the comfort, they'll start coming out. And what I tell the kids, I make a little joke and I go, listen, it's not North Korea. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to make you come out on the mat. I'm not going to make you do anything.
Yeah.
You can sit here. You can come out on the mat. You can come out on the mat and then change your mind and go back and sit on the bench. And I put the ball 100% in their court at first.
Yeah.
So they have skin in the game, you know, so that they're choosing to come out. They're not being forced to do anything.
Yeah.
And that generally works. It just doesn't work quickly. I'm going to try to not look at them. I'm going to try that because I've never even thought about that.
Yeah. What's funny is that the kids will sometimes forget that Master Valdez is blind.
Sure.
Right? Because they're in the environment. Master Valdez, I mean, the way that he has out or has just laid out the dojo, right? There's not stuff all around that he has to, you know, maneuver and navigate. But it's funny when the kids are like, hey, Master Valdez, did you see?
Yeah.
Or they'll try to throw a ball at him, say, hey, Master Valdez, catch.
Right.
No.
Tell him to throw a white ball. Right.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah,
a white
white
ball?
ball. Yeah.
So we had to throw a white ball at him.
Yeah.
All right, that's noted. We can get that. Over the years, how long have you been in martial arts? You said since you were 8, right? But you've been running your school since 16.
Yes.
Has your philosophy over time towards martial arts, I mean, of course it's changed, but how has it changed?
Oh, it's changed big time. I mean, when I was younger, I was a really good fighter when I was younger, and I really prided myself on creating great fighters. And I thought it was all about winning tournaments and producing students that could win tournaments. And as I'm getting older in life, I still enjoy, you know, creating tournament champions. But I realize that's not why I'm here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to influence people, to help kids come out of their shell, to help kids realize that they have potential that they had no idea that they had.
So we talked about sparring. So Chance and I, probably a couple podcasts ago, maybe last podcast, about his philosophy changing with sparring. Right. So some of the ideas of how do you say, Chance? It's a dance, or it's a
conversation. It's not an argument.
Yeah, conversation, not an argument.
An argument is a street fight. A sparring match is a conversation. We're not enemies. We're not actually trying to hurt each other.
Yeah. We're
using words the way an argument does.
Yeah.
But we don't mean the same thing with the word. If we were arguing, we would mean to hurt with the word.
Yeah.
If we're conversing, it might even be the same word, but it's not meant to hurt.
Right.
Makes sense.
But Miguel and I came from the same blood on the floor culture of martial arts. The 80s of martial arts, like we were perversely proud of bleeding our opponents. But the problem is they weren't really our opponents. They were our friends. They were our training partners. And that kind of, I mean, people still accidentally get hurt.
Yeah.
But we don't on purpose hurt people anymore.
Yeah.
You know, you asked when I knew I wanted to teach martial arts, and I told you I was 8 years old, and I said I want to teach martial arts. But even at that young of an age, I knew that martial arts needed to change.
Yes.
If it ever wanted to get out of the basement of the rec center of Grand Prairie.
Right.
And I knew that I wanted to own a real karate school, not inside of a basement. I wanted to have my own place. But I knew that it had to not get watered down, but it couldn't be as bloody as it was. And it was brutal back in the 80s.
Really brutal. My dad used to say, I wonder how many national champions we ran out the door.
Oh, big time.
People who would have been better than everyone, but we expected way too much, way too fast.
Yeah.
We beat them before they could fight back.
And I think back in the 80s, they used to, if you were a little too manly, they used to try to break you before you'd ever even get to the higher belt.
Yes. You know? And again, that phrase of once you know better, you have to do better. You know, I'm not going to hold myself. I'm not going to be mad at myself for not knowing any better when I was 20.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
You know, but I've told you, Jimmy, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, Miguel. Do you know who was the biggest advocate for me changing my sparring culture here?
Who?
My dad.
Yes, I knew that.
And he was like, you are letting them go too hard. You have got to control this. And I'm like, you made me this way. What are you talking about? You can't turn this around on me now. I'm a product of what you did. And he looked at me and he said, I was wrong.
Yep.
I mean, I like, and I know that we've talked about this before on the podcast, but I like at Excel, I like the style that we have with sparring, right? I think it's a combination of, listen, if we're going to go light, then I can tell Shane, hey man, I'm hurt. Let's just
right.
Let's just
move around.
Let's move around. Or hey, my left hip is bothering me today. Let's just work on hands. Right. But there's also, I have seen with some of the kids who get their wind knocked out, and I've seen Master Valdez work with those kids. Like those kids now, like they can easily take a hit right now and bounce back up. But the way that, again, I know probably two different philosophies of sparring, but I've also seen how both you guys have changed over the years with your technique sparring. And I don't know if it was when Master Valdez broke me. Maybe that was the time.
It is the guilt.
It was the guilt.
Yeah.
It probably was felt really guilty.
I should be clear. I am an advocate for everyone getting the wind knocked out of them.
Absolutely.
It's the head. It's the concussions that we got real scared about.
Yeah.
Because
makes sense. Yeah.
You can hit me with a lead pipe and you won't get me a concuss. I won't concuss.
Yeah.
Some people, you can thump them and they get a concussion. Yeah. And you don't know you can't tell from the outside looking in who's going to have neurological damage from too hard of a kick or a punch to the head. And once it happens, it's like domino effect. They can never take another hard shot without getting another concussion.
Yeah.
They're learning that in football now. They're learning, like we just didn't know 20 years ago about concussions, what we know now. Funny story. This whole concept of head contact is why Joe Rogan is a comedian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I had no idea.
Joe Rogan was a Taekwondo champion, high-level Taekwondo champion.
Yeah, I knew he was a champion.
In Boston, I believe. Then he started doing some upper body stuff because, Taekwondo, that level of Taekwondo, there were no punches to the head. It wasn't real Taekwondo like you do, right? It was the kind of the new version of we can kick to the head and punch to the body and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then when he saw kickboxing, he's like, oh, that's way better.
Yeah.
And so he started kickboxing and he started getting pummeled in the head. And he's like, I don't want to spend the rest of my life with brain damage.
Exactly.
I can use my brain.
Yeah.
And then he started working as a comedian, and he still trains martial arts, but he doesn't take the headshots anymore.
No.
I
wonder if Joe Rogan was here, I would ask him, do you think that you
Oh, no, funny? He's here. He's in back.
Oh, he's back.
Oh,
I would ask him, do you think you were funnier before you got hit in the head or after you got hit?
I don't think he was a comedian until after all this happened.
So maybe that's an advocate of getting hit in the head. I'm just saying, right? I mean, you get hit in the head, you could be a comedian.
I am pretty funny, and I've been hit in the head a lot.
Speaking of Taekwondo, Master Valdez, I tell people that I learned Taekwondo, but you've said in the past that you wish it wouldn't be, under the umbrella of Taekwondo.
Yeah, I don't even want to use the word Taekwondo.
Not anymore.
Can you explain why?
I mean, I don't even know if what I teach is even considered Taekwondo anymore. Might as well just call it Miguel's karate.
Right.
Because everything evolves over the years and you've changed it over the years. But what Taekwondo is now is either going to be usually Olympic style with no hands at all. And they're usually very good at what they do. And they usually train very hard. Or then you have very watered down systems, which are copies off of copies off of copies off of copies, which are just get extremely watered down. And I think you said once before, they should call them manner schools because they're really good at teaching manners, but not so much about teaching martial arts.
Right.
And I'm not really associated with either one of those groups. So I almost wish my system wasn't called Taekwondo, but that's what it was called 40 years ago when I started. So that's why I still use the term Taekwondo.
Yeah, because when I tell people I do Taekwondo, they think, oh man, you kick to the head all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, man.
No, not very often.
I was like, yeah, very rarely, at least for me, very rarely, because my hip.
So the history, Hong Hee Choi, when kind of Taekwondo was created,
Okay.
right? From what I can understand, the ITF, which is where the Ginger Ninja Trickster is from, that's the worldwide closest to
Yes.
what you do. It's not the Olympic. It's not the World Taekwondo Federation.
Right.
Okay. So the ITF, they punch and kick everywhere.
Yeah.
And of course they're the ones that do the kind of the bouncing and the forms, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
But I have watched a lot of their sparring, and
They're
I
good
mean,
fighters.
really good. But they're fighters similar to you.
Mm.
They can kick and punch to all the target areas.
Yeah.
That just seems like a far more practical use of what the original Kwans from Korea were meant to be. It was meant to be a more complete martial art.
Right.
And the sport, they're like, okay, people are going to go to the hospital. We can't do this anymore. And I think that my suspicion, I don't know if this is true, but one of the hardest Japanese styles on the planet is Kyokushin.
Yeah.
Right? They don't punch to the face. Granted, they don't wear gear, but they can punch to the body and kick to the head like Olympic Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they didn't see that and go, okay,
I think so.
That's how we can do the sport. We won't punch to the head. We'll kick to the head. People will still get hurt, but not as much. It won't be a brawl. And the ITF said, nope, we're going to stay true to what we do.
Okay. And that's probably more in line with what
I would say that. It's closer to that. But you're right. It's your own thing, man.
Yeah.
So instead of Excel Academy, we could call it Excel Academy Miguel Valdez style, or right?
I just like to use the term karate because it's generic.
We changed the word 10th degree black belt.
There you go.
There you go. Found his own style. Yeah.
But see, even people who do karate, like if I say no, we're karate, they jump on my case, say no, you're not karate.
So there's a word, my dad created this word, now everybody uses it. It's called American karate.
Mm.
Okay. And I don't know if the people that train in American karate are connected to my dad in any way, because it's not like he copyrighted it or trademarked it, right? But Raymond Daniels is one of the best fighters I've ever seen. He went sport karate, like Ross Levine. He's in Karate Combat with Ross Levine. These guys were karate tournament point karate guys.
Yeah.
And then they were knocking everybody out in the first 15-second guys.
Yeah.
They've done MMA, and at a high enough level, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. But the argument of point karate is useless is tired. I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I believe that point karate will develop a skill that you can use in actual fighting.
Yeah.
But it's going to be real hard to do that if you only point fight and never continuous fight.
Yes.
What do you think about point fighting, Master Valdez?
Well, I mean, I think in every real fight, your very first engagement is a point fight.
Right.
A lot of times, the guy that gets the other guy first is going to be the winner of that fight.
Especially if it's a good shot.
Exactly.
That is true.
Yeah.
When you think of it like that.
Yeah. But I say that Raymond Daniels, his style is American karate.
Okay.
And so I love the word American before any martial arts style, because this country is a melting pot. We're not white, we're not black, we're not, you know what I mean? Like, we're not one culture, we're not one religion. Like, we're a big soup sandwich of everywhere around the world. And so calling it American karate or American Taekwondo means that it's a melting pot of all of the stuff that instructor has learned.
That makes sense.
That does make sense. So your belts, the way that you test for belts, obviously it's not like a big business sort of model, right, for belt tests. I tell people all the time that you can get to that last belt, but it doesn't mean you're getting a black belt for Master Valdez at all. So has your testing evolved also through the years, or do you stay true to how you tested for belts coming up through the ranks?
We changed up the belt colors a little bit. I never liked the brown belt because we went brown 4, 3, 2, 1, and that confused me when I was a child.
See a brown belt for 5 years, yeah.
So we changed up the colors a little bit, and then we added a few belts in just to have some more short-term goals to work for. Mm-hmm. But it took me 8 years as a child to achieve a black belt.
Right.
And I don't think it should quite take that long.
Right.
But I don't really believe in the you can get a black belt in 2.5, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while. And so in our system, you can go all the way up to that last level. But if you don't have what it takes to become a black belt, then you can just stay that last level forever.
Yeah.
But if you put in the work and really go at it, then then you'll achieve it.
Yeah.
Right, but like I know a lot of your students. You don't have you have to beat Crump or you can get a black belt.
Yeah.
It's not you have to be as good as the superstar athlete.
No, I don't care if you ever win any tournaments.
But you have to be the best version you can be.
Absolutely.
And I have to see black belt progress from day one to
and
now.
black belt work and black belt ethics and
all of that.
Everything.
You remember how you tell me like, hey Jimmy, just because I didn't say that you were pretty doesn't mean you're not pretty.
Absolutely.
You tell me that sometimes. So Chance was he was commenting on the black belts that you have produced. Like, man, he goes, the solid black belts that Miguel has produced with Crump, Michael Davidson, Talon, and I'm just sitting here like, what? Man,
just
because
he didn't mention your name, Jimmy, doesn't mean you're not pretty.
Journey,
Journey, yes,
but that's it, right?
Yeah,
like there no more,
like Shane,
right,
Isella,
right,
like all these, and I'm like, hey, Chance, what about me? I think it was.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're black belt too.
So what is your take on? I just had a friend doing Krav Maga.
Okay.
He said there was a 3-day test for him. I've seen tests that take 7 hours. I've seen tests that take a couple hours. When you do your black belt test, like how does your black belt test look and compared to, I guess, how you did it when you were starting off? Has that changed, or is that still kind of the same format that you follow?
I don't know. I think I've changed it quite a bit over the years. I mean, before I test you for black belt, I've already decided whether or not you deserve a black belt. So unless you just completely blow it that day, you've already earned a black belt in my head. And so I don't need to put you through a 9-hour test. Honestly, I don't have the attention span to sit through a 9-hour test.
That's fair.
And I want to, create something for your families to come and watch,
right.
And they don't want to sit through a 9-hour test.
Right.
So if I've already decided that you are a black belt and you've already put your work in and proved to me that you're a black belt, then we're going to give a 3-hour show of your abilities for your friends and family.
Yeah, that's good.
What would you tell the new white belt adult because we have some new white belt adults and they asked some of the questions too that you answered previously. What would you say to the adult right now, just on the sideline, either watching their kid or they're on the sideline wanting to join martial arts at Excel? Like, what encouragement would you have for them?
And you just got to step on the mat. You just got to step on the mat. And once you get on there, you'll feel a lot more comfortable than you expect. You're nervous about getting out there right now, and you're nervous about putting on that uniform. But once you get out there on the mat, you realize it's really no big deal. And you'll really love it, whether you take class with your kids or you take a separate class with you in the teen adult class.
So you also mentioned some of the battles that you faced personally at our last black belt test. You feel comfortable kind of talking about that?
Sure.
Because what we did, and the reason why I asked is because a few podcasts ago we talked about addiction. We talked about fighting addiction. Chance said anybody that's fighting addiction, reach out to Chance because he has beat some of those demons back.
Beating.
Beating.
It's not. It'll be beat when I die sober, but I'm beating it. Yeah.
Right. So and we have friends, and I have friends too that are, I should say, beating it, alcoholism or some of their addictions as well. So, Master Valdez, do you mind sharing some of that with the group?
Well, I was a really severe alcoholic from the age of like 15 years old, and about 6 years ago, things got really rough. I almost died, and that day I put down my beer bottle and never picked up one since then. But it's been rough. And every day I seem a little more clear than I was the day before.
Yeah.
And like I said during the test, about 6 months into sobriety, it's like a fog gets lifted
Yeah.
from your brain, or a veil gets lifted from your brain. And then about 2 years later, another veil gets lifted, and 2 years later, another veil gets lifted, and you realize that you're not even the same person you were at all anymore. So,
You just hit how many years?
6 years.
6 years.
6
That,
years.
that was just a few weeks ago, right?
It was.
So what's amazing to me, the more that I've gotten to know you and our friendship has got stronger, that I would bury a body for you if you called me over, sort of thing. It's interesting because obviously when I first joined the Mats, right, I didn't know
No.
I had no idea about.
I was very good at hiding it.
Yeah. But what's interesting now that I know you and looking back, some of the pictures
Oh
of
man.
just you and I side by side, because that was about the time that I joined the Mats initially to get into shape. Right?
Yes.
It didn't really until I started, the gold belt. Like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, and that's when.
Well, you
we started
said
pushing hard.
You said that I broke you when you were an orange belt, which, by the way, you ran into that psychic.
Yeah.
Because I pulled it. I did not hit him hard at all.
Okay, all right, noted.
But then when you didn't quit, I was like, all right, this guy has what it takes. He's going to stick it out. So then I invited you to just start coming doing our afternoon workouts.
Yes.
With Shane. And that's when you really lost a lot of weight.
Yeah. So I remember, I tell people, Shane wasn't there. This was when I was probably an orange belt, and you invited me to a lunchtime workout. And this dude put me through such a workout that I threw up twice during that workout, and it was so intense that I was like, how in the world, right, is this guy? Because in my brain, I mean, obviously you got beat up by a blind guy, I got beat up by a blind guy, and we also beat up a blind guy at times.
Yeah, I took a pound of flesh.
Yeah. But what's interesting when I tell people that, hey, Master Valdez, like, hey, yeah, I fought Master Valdez, and then when I finally say, well, he's blind, they go, you just beat up a blind guy? I'm like, no,
nope,
I did not. A blind guy beat me up. I just got some good licks in there.
So I just want to be clear. Jimmy getting his ribs broken by Grand Master Valdez is like a bird breaking its beak running into your window.
Exactly.
Right. Like all the breaking was on Klaus.
Thank you.
But I also want to speak to something about Miguel's sobriety. So here's something interesting, and I want everybody listening to take a page from this. Okay, I have been in recovery for decades. So I was in recovery, not using any sort of mood or mind altering substances, drinking, anything like that, when I met you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I had no idea the whole time that we were friends that he was an alcoholic. Until he called me, because he knew I was, and he knew I was in recovery. And when he made the decision to stop, you called me. And you said, I'm done. So here's what's amazing. Like, Miguel didn't suck 7 years ago, 8 years ago. He was a great guy, great teacher, great fighter.
Yep.
But the transformation that I have seen in him in the last 6 years is nothing short of miraculous. And I never once thought, if that guy had quit drinking, he would, he'd probably be pretty good. I didn't know he drank. So this is the lesson that I want you guys to take. You might know people that are struggling and you have no idea they might be struggling with this.
Right.
Check
absolutely.
on your friends, man. Check on their mental health.
Yeah.
When he reached out to me this year about testing, and I told him, I was like, I'll sign anything. You are the best version of a martial artist that you've ever been, which is weird because he's the oldest that he's ever been.
Yeah.
He's never been as old as he is now. He's older than dirt, right? I didn't even know there had been as much time as Miguel's been alive. He's at least forever.
Right.
He should be this little Nosferatu, with this eggy head and these little cramped hands.
Yeah.
But he's younger now than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I've ever told you the transformation that I've seen in you is nothing short of astounding.
Oh man, and when I post those, as I call them, our fat boy pictures, I mean, it's amazing to see the transformation of that too. Because even though I didn't know any of this until a few years into my training about Master Valdez, he brought me along with him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I was like his favorite chew toy to kind of beat me up in lessons or not. But you're right. The transformation to see those pictures to today. I mean, and I'm
get in, loser. We're doing sober stuff.
I mean, listen. Get in. Like there are times, and Shane again can attest to this, that Master Valdez will come onto the mats on one of our lunchtime workouts and goes, "Hey guys, I was thinking about this exercise last night,"
right?
And I'm like, "What?" And Shane and I, once again, trauma bonding, are like, "What are we about to go through?" And it is
I'm gonna try something I saw in a cartoon.
Right. I mean, that's right. That's exactly right. God help us. But Master Valdez, and as we close here, I just want to say some things as well. I mean, I know Chance did with the transformation, is what you have done and what you provide to everybody that steps onto the mats at Excel Academy, no matter if they're kids or parents. You provide such an awesome service, and you are such an example of not quitting. Now I know that you say, "Well, Jimmy, you weren't going to quit." Excuse me. That you weren't going to quit after that sidekick. And maybe that's some of the military. Maybe that's also some of the abuse and whatnot my childhood brought. But you have helped probably more than the military, because I've known you. My time with you is longer than my time in the military. But the way that you have helped at least shape me, mold me, I will tell the parents or anybody that's trying to get on the mats at Excel, if you're an adult, it doesn't matter the disability you have. Because I promise you, you are learning from a guy that has a disability, who is blind, but never uses it as an excuse. Mm-hmm. He never uses it as an excuse.
No, and I tell people on the mats all the time, there are no disabilities on the mats.
Right.
You get on the mats, and everybody's got their own little challenges that they have to deal with. Yep. But everybody on the mats is equal.
And you have molded, or you have actually some of the workouts that we have done, and even some of the kicks. You're like, "Jimmy, I know you can't do this kick. I want you to do this kick." Or you change up as a style. So I want to encourage you guys, come to Excel, check out the Blind Dragon of Master Valdez. And one last thing before we close here, that my hope is, before I forget, I need to create a quote book of all the stuff that Valdez has said to us throughout the years. Because let me tell you, so this shirt right here, that Shane came up with this idea, "You can breathe when you're dead." I mean, there are other ones too, like Master Valdez, like, who's a trained monkey? And I'll just respond, "I'm a trained monkey, sir," because or "I don't train mashed potatoes," right. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we don't train mashed potatoes here at Excel." But I use this line, thinking, hey, Master Valdez let me lead this class. He had to go to lunch, and Master Valdez has to break away sometimes to go have dinner and lunch with his wife and date his wife. And so I'm on the mats on the Saturday afternoon, I believe it was, and here comes, these kids, and I'm pushing them, and they're huffing and puffing. I'm like, "Yes, let me, I go to sleep to those moans." Yeah. And then this one kid is huffing and puffing, and I'm like, "Let's go." I'm like, "You can breathe when you're dead." And they go, "Mr. Jimmy,
that kid's having an asthma attack."
Yeah. And I was like, "How?" Again, he needs his inhaler. And I'm like, I was like, "Oh, I'm about to kill a kid by using Valdez's philosophy." They're like, he needs his inhaler.
Apparently that tack doesn't work for everybody.
It does not work for everybody. Anyways, to close, Master Valdez, I appreciate you.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate you guys.
This is not the last. We'll run it back again. But Chance, to close it out, you got anything?
Yeah, if you when you meet people, they just have an energy about them. What you'll find is that if you walk into Excel Academy, the energy and the ambience, just the way it makes you feel walking in the door, do yourself a favor and go check it out. It's a phenomenal school. I'm really, really, really grateful for our friendship.
I'm extremely grateful for both of you guys.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching episode 8. Go check us out on YouTube. Go subscribe. Go catch us on Spotify. We appreciate you guys. See you episode 9.
I've got a piece so bad.